We do ask you to please do not use any type of poker solvers. If you are found using one of these poker solvers, there's a possibility of being disqualified from this tournament.
Controversy spread throughout the poker community as Jonathan Tamayo won the biggest main event in history. The crux of the matter was Tamayo's frequent consultation with friends, including Dominik Nitsche and Joe McKeon, by the sidelines. These discussions, often involving what spectators speculated to be strategy advice derived from a laptop set up by Dominik near the playing area, has sparked considerable debate. To clarify, Tamayo's behavior did not constitute real-time assistance in the strictest sense, as he could not consult his friends and supporters mid-hand for advice on his next move. Instead, most viewers believe Tamayo was seeking immediate feedback on hands he had just played to determine if he had made optimal decisions. This instant feedback could have significantly influenced Tamayo's strategy in real time, particularly if his final opponent, amateur player Jordan Griff, exhibited any strategic weaknesses or tendencies that could be exploited in subsequent hands. Such insights might have enabled Tamayo to deviate from a game theory optimal approach, tailoring his strategy specifically to maximize his chances against Griff and the other players at the final table. Dominik, the owner and operator of the now infamous laptop on the rail, has become the focal point of the ongoing controversy. He left little room for ambiguity about the situation as he engaged in heated exchanges with Alan Keating and others on X. It started with Dominik's tweet stating, "The best part of having a piece win the main event is definitely the money. But the second best part is how mad the biggest dipshits on Twitter get when they see someone using a laptop on the rail." Alan Keating fired back saying, "I cannot comment on whatever is on that laptop, but I will share that I was with a dozen friends last night watching the final table playing on the background, and not a single one of them thought whatever is on that laptop was tasteful or within the spirit of the game. I'm glad you'll won the money for yourselves, but the experience we had watching reinforced the idea that tournament poker is not for us." This resulted in a prolonged exchange between the two, during which Dominik cast himself as the villain. He conveyed that his primary objective was to make money by any means necessary, implying that the responsibility of creating and enforcing rules was someone else's concern. It's evident that both poker players have different visions for the growth of the game. Keating is worried about deterring recreational players, whereas Dominik is dedicated to aiding poker players in enhancing their skills. Scotty Weinstein called out to the brazenness of Dominik, stating, "Imagine being part of the biggest moment of someone else's life, presumably a friend, and making it all about yourself, all while calling them a piece." To clarify, Dominik never explicitly admitted to running simulations on the laptop while inputting hands and stack sizes. However, he also did not deny it. When asked, "Several people on the rail had video of your laptop towards the stage. Tamayo told you stack sizes and you typed them in. On video, he came and told you again. What were those inputs for if not a sim?" This is what Dominik said.
"I can neither confirm nor deny details of any operation."
However, when another player questioned what he was doing on his laptop, pointing out that his laptop on Wi-Fi could not handle complex HRC simulations, Dominik responded by saying that they were merely running some game time adjustments and strategic reminders, and laughed at the notion that people believed he was running simulations. Todd Whittles, who runs Poker Fraud Alert, stated that this was not cheating since the present rules allow it. However, it's a bad look and against the spirit of live poker, especially at the most high-profile event of the year. Dominik questioned the implementation procedure, and Todd gave his take on the matter, which seemed impractical, with him suggesting every player being mic'd up and any conversation about past hands should be penalized. Sam Grafton, Kathy Liebert, and Joseph Cheong expressed similar sentiments about banning assistance from the rail. Will Jaffe, with his funny antics, chose to share a picture that shows how poker has changed over the last 2 decades. Patrick Leonard pointed out that whatever has happened isn't new and was perhaps more visible this year, and said that the most prominent members of the community have been there before with laptops and headphones. It was never an issue previously. Players would always go to their rails between hands and get advice on what to do next, it was almost always celebrated and seen as a cool part of the final table. The problem is that in 2024, the lookup tools or solvers are so fast, but in my opinion, Deeb, Chance, and Scott Seaver giving instant coaching advice versus an amateur based on game flow is much more advantageous than seeing a GTO sim that reflects nothing of reality when put against an amateur. A recurring theme among many commenters was that regardless of the tactic's technical legality, it looked terrible for the concept of fair play. This was particularly concerning when it came to casual players and viewers. Seeing Tamayo frequently run to the rail to seemingly check simulation outputs could deter them from wanting to invest their time and money into the game. If poker needs recreational players, then there is a need to produce an environment where the average recreational player believes that they have a decent enough chance at winning. Fedor Hole said, regarding the WSOP main event winner getting coached, I think it's not good for the game if players could go to the rail and look at charts or sims or get inputs based on those. Will Jaffe perfectly stated, there are so many powerful tools for No Limit Hold'em out there right now that those who are willing to put in the time and work and use them are naturally going to benefit the most, but no one wants to see someone running a sim on their phone at the table, just like no one wants to see someone running over to the rail to check a sim on their friend's laptop during the biggest tournament of the year. Anytime there is a lot of money involved, people will look to push their edge as much as possible, and operators and venues should really look to control this before it gets out of hand. Daniel Negreanu stated that he was under the impression that it was already against the rules this year, and someone else running solves in the game and then telling you in between hands also should not be allowed. The official TDA rulebook Part 64C states that participants are prohibited from using betting apps, gaming charts, or any poker information tools while involved in a hand. Since Tamayo consulted in between hands, he might have been operating in a gray area. However, last year, due to the real-time assistance outrage, the WSOP had posted an article on their website stating players at the 2023 WSOP will be penalized if they are caught using or referencing a solver during a live hand. Additionally, the WSOP reserves the right to issue penalties to players who are using solvers between hands. So the question is that whether Tamayo running back to his rail could be equated to him using a solver. As Negreanu pointed out, no one at the table said anything, but had they asked the floor for a ruling, I don't see how they would have been allowed to continue. It's uncertain to what extent the champion gained from the sideline coaching. However, it ignited a discussion about whether it provides players with an unfair advantage and whether this practice hinders the development of the game. Let us know in the comments on what you think.